Apple. 42 interesting facts you didn't know. Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the fascinating world of Apple, one of the first brands that comes to mind when we talk about technology. Moving beyond the well-known iPhone, MacBook, and iPad, I've gathered 42 interesting facts that delve into the brand's origins, hidden features, and surprising stories. Get ready, because your perspective on Apple is about to change. The founding of Apple and its early years. Number of founders. Apple is generally known to have been founded by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, but they co-founded the company with Ronald Wayne on April 1, 1976. Wayne sold his shares in the company just 12 days later for $800. Today, those shares could be worth billions of dollars. The first logo. Apple's first logo depicted Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. The logo featured the inscription, Newton, a mind forever wandering through strange seas of thought, alone. Origin of the name. The company was named Apple because Steve Jobs had just returned from an apple farm, and he found the name to be fun and full of spirits. Jobs also thought the name would appear before Atari in the phone book, which was another factor. The first computer. Apple's first product, the Apple I, was just a motherboard sold for $666.66 in 1976. Only 200 units were ever produced. Mysterious facts about Apple products. iPhone clock setting. In Apple's advertisements and promotional photos, the iPhone clock is always set to 9:41 a.m. This is because this was the exact minute when Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone in 2007. The secret of the I in iMac originally stood for Internet. Later, this I was expanded to also mean individual, inspire, inform, and instruct. Siri's voice. The original American female voice of Siri, Susan Bennett, recorded the voice lines in 2005. Apple never told her that these recordings would be used for Siri. Bennett found out by chance in 2011 while playing with a friend's iPhone. Apple Maps glitch. Apple Maps was heavily criticized when it first came out. In Australia, people searching for a town were accidentally directed to the Victoria Desert due to a major mapping error. Product codes. Every Apple product is known by a special code name within Apple's own software, Finder. For example, the code for the iPhone 15 was D84. The byte mark. The byte in the Apple corporate logo is known as the byte mark. The reason for this is to prevent the logo from being confused with a tomato or another fruit. Recycling program. Apple uses a robot for recycling old devices. This robot, named Liam, disassembles millions of iPhones each year to recycle their parts. Steve Jobs and Apple's philosophy. Steve Jobs' attire. Steve Jobs consistently wore a black turtleneck, jeans, and sneakers until the end of his life. This style reflected his philosophy of simplicity and minimalism. Jobs' parking spot. It was known that Steve Jobs never parked his car in a regular spot at Apple's headquarters. Instead, he would park in a handicapped spot because he believed these spaces provided better accessibility. Apple's architecture. The architecture of Apple stores and Apple Park is based on the simplicity and functionality of their products. This philosophy reflects the idea of less is more. Other interesting facts. Macintosh's name. Apple's popular computer series, Macintosh, gets its name from Macintosh, Jeff Raskin's favorite type of apple. However, Apple had to change the spelling slightly due to trademark issues. Product box scent. Apple's product boxes are designed to have a special scent when opened. This scent is a marketing tactic aimed at giving the user a good experience. Apple's address. Apple's headquarters, Apple Park, is located in Cupertino, USA. The building houses 12,000 employees and is powered entirely by renewable energy sources. Most expensive product. Apple's most expensive product was the Mac Pro, released in 2017 with a price tag of $9,999. Cheapest product. The cheapest product Apple has ever sold was the Apple QuickTake 100, a digital camera that sold for $40 in 1993. Apple's car project. Apple has been working on a car project for years, known as Project Titan. Although it has not yet been released, this project is expected to have a major impact on the future automotive industry. Apple's cash reserves. Apple is one of the most valuable companies in the world, and the amount of cash it holds is greater than the gross domestic product of many countries. Apple's biggest rival. Apple's biggest rival is Google. The two companies compete in many areas, from smartphones and operating systems to artificial intelligence. Apple's film studio. With the Apple TV Plus platform, Apple has become a film studio and achieved great success with the Oscar-winning film, Coda. The world of Apple software and marketing. The first Apple computer ad. Apple's first television commercial aired during the Super Bowl in 1984 and was a reference to George Orwell's novel, 1984. This iconic ad told viewers that Apple was a symbol of freedom against giants like IBM, who dominated the technology world at the time. Think Different philosophy. One of Apple's most unforgettable advertising campaigns, Think Different, did not showcase a technology product. Instead, it highlighted visionary people who shaped history, such as Albert Einstein, Martin Luther King Jr., and Pablo Picasso, emphasizing that Apple was not just a technology company but a brand that represented creativity and innovation. macOS's cat names. Until 2013, Mac's operating system, macOS, was always named after big cats. This series included names like Puma, Panther, Jaguar, and Leopard. Apple later abandoned this tradition and started using names of places in California. Apple's music service. Apple's music service, Apple Music, was introduced in 2015. With this service, the company aimed to take the music revolution it started with the iPod and iTunes to the next level. Steve Jobs' vision for the iPod, which completely changed the music industry, was the biggest proof of Apple's passion in this field. Apple's cultural impact and future vision. Apple's secret laboratory. Some sections of Apple's headquarters are home to secret laboratories that even the most loyal employees cannot enter. Here, thousands of engineers and designers work on future technologies under strict secrecy. Apple's art projects. Apple is not just a technology manufacturer, it's also a supporter of the arts. Products like the Apple Pencil, iPad, and Final Cut Pro enable creative professionals to create new works in many fields, from filmmaking to painting. Apple's virtual reality project. One of the most talked about topics in recent years has been Apple's virtual and augmented reality headset, the Apple Vision Pro. With this device, the company aims to create a new category it calls spatial computing, establishing the next major technology platform after smartphones. Apple's wearable technology success. The release of the Apple Watch was a turning point in the field of wearable technology. With this product, Apple made health and fitness tracking mainstream. Best-selling product. The best-selling Apple product by a long shot is the iPhone. The release of each new model attracts the attention of millions of people worldwide and forms the foundation of the company's financial success. Apple's initial product development process. The prototype for the first iPhone was such a secret project that even Jobs' closest engineers didn't know what they were working on. The project team was divided into different tasks, and each team only saw the part of the project that concerned their area. Apple's role in education. Apple aims to popularize coding education with programs like Everyone Can Code. This aims to make technology more accessible for children and young people and help them develop their digital skills. Apple's transparency policy. Apple considers protecting the security and privacy of its users as a primary priority. The company does not sell user data to other companies, and this stance has become one of its most important differentiators from its competitors. The design secret of Apple stores. The minimalist and open design of Apple stores allows products to be displayed better. These stores are designed as experience centers rather than just retail stores. Apple's address name. Apple's first address was 1 Infinite Loop in Cupertino. This was a term used in software engineering and reflected the company's technological identity. Its new campus was named 1 Apple Parkway. Apple's first rivals. Apple's first rivals were the computer giants of that era, IBM, Microsoft, and Commodore. Apple managed to stand out against these giants with its innovative and user-centric approach. Apple's approach to innovation. Apple is often known not for inventing a product first but for making it the best. Products like the MP3 player, smartphone, or tablet existed before Apple. However, Apple redefined these products with simple and elegant designs, making them mainstream. Steve Jobs' parking secret. It was known that Steve Jobs never parked his car in a regular spot at Apple headquarters. Instead, he would park in a handicapped spot because he believed these spaces provided better accessibility. Title of the most valuable company. Apple is one of the most valuable publicly traded companies in the world. The amount of cash it holds is greater than the gross domestic product of many countries. Apple as a film studio. Apple has become a film studio with its Apple TV Plus platform and achieved great success with the Oscar-winning film, Coda. I hope these 42 interesting facts have enriched your perspective on Apple. Apple is not just a technology company, it is also a culture, a philosophy, and an art form. If you liked my video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next videos, take care.